What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pat Outdoors. Hope you're having a great holiday break. We are hopping back on the Razor MX650 Mini Enduro project. On the last video, we already took care of the rear suspension and changes that I wanted to make with the fork setup as far as turning radius improvement and positioning the handlebar and whatnot. Today we are working on the aesthetics and completely changing the look of the bike. The worn out plastics, wasn't really a big fan of the yellow anyway, so that's gonna go away. We are replacing that with the CRF50 Plastics or Fender set. So let's get started. The CRF plastic set that I'm using for this project is a aftermarket kit. I decided to go with this instead of the OEM Honda stuff since I wanted a all gloss black finish, and that's the only way you could get it. And not to mention, I got this whole kit for not even $30. So I don't have to feel bad modifying it to make it properly fit on the 650. If you are interested in checking this out, I'll leave a link in the description. Before we hop on the plastics, I want to clean up this bike a little bit. It is still a little caked in mud since we last took it out. So I'm going to brush all that stuff off just so the bike looks fresh when we put the new body on. We're going to start by removing all the plastics from the seat and the tank. Please keep all the hardware. We are going to be reusing that for the new plastics. I'm going to go over all the minor modifications we're going to have to make once I have everything fitted on the body, and then we'll go over the front end stuff a little later. Here's everything that I had to do for the rear panels to fit properly. I cut about 0.6 inch off the rear tabs, and then I drilled new holes for the screws to line up properly with the seat holes. And then for the front tabs, I had to drill new holes since those wouldn't line up properly. For the rear fender, it took majority of the modification. You completely cut off these two tabs from the front of it, and then slot this hole so you can shove the seat forward so the rear tabs would line up with the side panels. And then you flatten down the opposite side of this, like the top side under the seat, so it'll sit completely flat. And then you tighten everything down together and it lines up nice and clean around the edges. And then for the front two side panels, you don't have to modify anything to get it to line up with the seat or the tank. All the bolts will line up for the most part, though we do have to make some custom brackets to have them properly secured to the front corners of the tank. I'll go over that once we have everything bolted on the bike. Here's what the CRF body looks like on the bike. I think the gloss black finish looks a lot sleeker than the yellow. And this is what I was talking about that we need to make a bracket for. It's just to bridge the inch and a half gap between the corner of the tank and the side fairing. What I did for this red bike was I made an aluminum bracket, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. Just drilled 2 holes, so I'll show you how I do that. And one thing I noticed between these two different brands body kit is this one looks a lot nicer as far as color combo, but the tolerances around the edges and the fitment around the seat is just not as crisp and tight as this red one. So you see this is a perfectly cut straight line over here. This one's a little rounded. And then the gaps between the seat and the fairings are a little tighter on this one. So you see this one's just, you can see the gap a little bit more. I did upholster the seat, that's why it looks a little different, but that shouldn't have anything to do with fitment. So I will leave a link in the description for this kit as well, in case you care more about fitment, though this company offers a lot more color options. And to get the front fender to fit the Alter Ego fork, I just have to drill a large hole right here, so it'll clear the main nut and bolt. And then I'm gonna use this front mounting hole to secure it onto the bottom of the triple tray. And then for the front number plate, I just cut the top strap off, and then I smoothened the edge with some sandpaper, drilled a hole, and bolted it onto the top bracket. And then the tab at the bottom, I just bolted it onto the bottom bracket. Here's an idea of what the brackets are gonna look like for the fenders. I'm using some aluminum flat bar, 1/8 inch thick, 3/4 inch width, and then these are 1.5 inches long. So we're just gonna drill these holes ahead of time and then cut the tabs and smoothen the edges. Here's what the brackets look like installed. Nice and symmetrical. Fairings are properly mounted. I probably could have just used some zip ties to secure it in place like some other people do, but I wanted to be proud of my work and not have to worry about the plastics flopping around while I'm riding the bike. Well, I was gonna take the 650 out to go riding, but then my wife's Subaru decided not to start on her, so I have to spend the rest of the afternoon working on that. But we are gonna take this thing out in a couple days. We're actually taking it on a trip with us to South Carolina. I'm going through some trails to take out the KLX as well, so stay tuned if you wanna see that. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you like this kind of content, wanna keep up with some of my projects, consider subscribing to my channel. But this is gonna be it for today. Thank you for watching.